The movie begins with Liam, who experiences a strange accident. When he wakes up, he discovers that he has lost his memory. He starts walking toward the site of the accident in the forest, then continues on until he reaches a main road, hoping someone will help him. He sees a car coming toward him, so he tries to signal the driver to stop, but the car doesn't slow down and is about to run him over. At the last moment, Liam manages to dodge it. Liam approaches the car to see what's wrong with this reckless driver and why he tried to kill him. But when he opens the car door, he finds that the person driving is a woman, already dead, and her eyes are completely white. Liam quickly calls the police, but when they ask him for his name, he can't remember it because of the memory loss caused by the accident. He takes his wallet out and checks his ID, and that's when he learns that his name is Liam. He then notices birds falling from the sky, dead, right beside him. Terrified by everything happening around him, he panics and starts running. Eventually, he reaches a restaurant and goes inside, only to find that all the customers and workers inside are dead too, with white eyes. Liam starts to suspect that this might be a virus or some kind of poison in the air in that area, so he covers his mouth and nose with a cloth to avoid being poisoned and runs away quickly. From his driver's license, Liam manages to recall his home address. He goes there and breaks the door open since he can't remember where his keys are. Inside, he grabs duct tape and seals all the vents and openings to stop what he believes is toxic air from getting inside. Suddenly, he hears the sound of an excavator working near the house. Liam rushes outside to warn the operator to leave, but the man can't hear him. As Liam gets closer, the operator dies instantly and his eyes turn white. At this point, Liam becomes even more convinced that the air may be contaminated or infected with a virus. He decides to run an experiment to understand what's happening. He goes outside again with the cloth still covering his mouth and notices a bird on a tree. When he approaches it, he finds it dead, its eyes transformed as well. Liam runs away in fear and finally realizes the truth. He is the one causing the deaths. Everyone who comes near him dies, while the air itself is completely fine. The real problem is him. So Liam runs as far away from people as he can to save their lives. He finds a farmhouse in a rural area and hides there, hoping to find a solution to the curse that has fallen upon him. After some time, the police begin chasing him, suspecting him to be responsible for all the deaths. He keeps escaping to avoid getting close to them so they won't die. One of the police officers approaches him, but luckily she notices birds falling dead around him and becomes frightened, sensing the danger, so she backs away. Night falls, and Liam suddenly hears someone knocking on the farmhouse door. He shouts, telling the person to run away immediately. But something strange happens. A young woman approaches him very closely, yet she doesn't die. Liam is shocked to see that she is still alive despite being near him. It turns out that she was also close to the location of Liam's original accident, and she too has lost her memory, just like him. Liam stands there stunned, realizing that she is still alive even while being so close to him. Liam also finds a dog nearby, and it's perfectly fine. It doesn't die either. So Liam and the girl decide to go together to the accident site to look for something that might explain what's happening to them. The girl tells him to call her Jane, since she can't remember her real name. The two of them arrive at the crash site and find that the ground is burned in the shape of a large circle. Liam says he doesn't think the fire was the cause, because there's a tree branch on the ground that isn't burned. Suddenly, he has a flash of an old memory, and sees Jane with him at the accident site at night, when a lightning strike hit him. He asks Jane where exactly she had been standing at the moment of the incident, so she goes and stands in the same spot. It turns out that both of them were standing on opposite sides of the circle during the accident, facing away from each other, and the distance between them forms a kind of radius of effect. Anyone who steps into that radius and gets close to Liam dies instantly. Liam explains all of his conclusions to Jane and admits that he was the reason everyone around him died after the accident. When he sees how shocked and scared Jane is, he tells her he's sure the curse is no longer active because no one has died within his vicinity for a while. But Jane is still frightened and doesn't believe him, so she runs away toward the main road. Liam chases after her, and she tells him she's angry because he didn't tell her about all these deaths earlier. She could have died at any moment while staying close to him. Just then, a woman driving a car approaches them and asks if there's a problem. Jane, still upset, walks away, while the woman steps out of her car and shows Liam her badge. She is the police officer who had been chasing them the night before. But the moment she gets too close to Liam, she dies instantly. Jane is standing a bit farther away and witnesses everything, becoming even more terrified when she sees the officer's body on the ground. Liam runs after Jane, gets very close to her, and tells her she won't die like the others, but that their priority now is to stay away from people and head somewhere isolated. Liam then carries out an experiment using a goat. He asks Jane to slowly move away from him. What he predicted happens. The goat dies the moment Jane steps outside Liam's safe radius, so Liam decides that they should go to a hospital together to find an explanation for what's happening. Jane tells him no one will believe their story, but Liam says he'll tell the doctors he has amnesia, so they'll perform a CT scan on his brain. He undergoes the scan, but the police arrive at the hospital to arrest him, believing he killed their colleague when she approached him earlier. Liam keeps pressuring the doctor to tell him the scan results, and the doctor finally tells him that everything in Liam's brain appears normal and healthy. Realizing the police are closing in, Liam escapes with Jane, and they head toward the elevator. Jane stops when she notices a bulletin board with photos and names of missing people. It triggers a memory, as she remembers seeing a missing person's photo before. While Jane is distracted, Liam enters the elevator along with some other people from the hospital. When Jane sees the elevator doors closing and realizes their lives are in danger, she panics and runs down the stairs as fast as she can, trying to stay within Liam's radius so they won't die. Fortunately, the two of them manage to escape from the hospital together without anyone dying, and they spend the night in the car because they have nowhere else to go. Liam keeps seeing many images of Jane in his dreams, fragments from his lost memories. Then Jane hears her name and her husband's name, Sam, mentioned on the radio, so she tells Liam that they need to go and meet him. Liam is worried about people's safety, but Jane insists that they need Sam's help. They go to see him, and as soon as Sam sees his wife, it's clear how worried he has been about her. She's been missing for a long time. Sam isn't happy to see his wife sitting in a car with a strange man, but the two of them eventually manage to convince him about the curse affecting them. They demonstrate it to him using birds, and Sam is shocked when he realizes how dangerous the situation is and how many lives could be at risk. Sam takes them to his workshop so they can hide there, and he goes to get rid of Liam's car so no trace will be left behind. While there, Liam finds a poster of a missing woman who looks exactly like Jane, with a note saying she's been missing for a year. But the name on the poster is not Jane. Sam explains the story. Jane had a sister named Maud who went missing, and no one has found her to this day. Jane had tried many times in the past to search for her sister, but without success. Pieces of Jane's memory begin to return, and she remembers that on the night of the incident, she had been about to jump off a bridge to end her life. But Liam appeared and saved her. She tells Liam what she remembered, and explains that the two of them didn't know each other before they lost their memories. Liam looks at a calendar on the wall with the date marked, and he recalls that he had been driving with Jane, and that they were heading to his house by the lake in the north right before the accident happened. Jane begins to trust Liam, and she falls asleep with her head resting on his lap. But Sam walks in and finds them sleeping like that, his wife lying on another man's legs. When Sam speaks to her, she tells him she doesn't remember anything about him, and she keeps defending Liam and standing by his side. Sam becomes angry about what's happening and decides to take revenge on them. The next day, Liam decides to go with Jane to his house by the lake in the north. Jane tells Sam to stay where he is and wait for them, and not to follow. Sam gets even more upset and calls the police to report them out of spite. Jane tells Liam they need to run because the police are coming, but she chooses to stay with him anyway. The police arrive and then enter the workshop and arrest both Jane and Liam. Sam had warned the police that they must keep the two of them together and not separate them. But the police ignore his warning and pull them apart. The moment they step outside each other's radius, everyone around Liam, including the officers, dies instantly. Liam tries to save the last remaining officer by asking him to step back, but the officer pulls out his gun and moves closer, and he dies too. Sam is then released from the police car and realizes he made a huge mistake. He tells them to run, and that he will go to the police to explain everything about the curse and try to clear their names. Liam drives away with Jane, and he keeps blaming himself for all the people who died. Jane tries to tell him it isn't his fault. On their way, they stop at a gas station to buy food, and they see on the television a satellite image showing lightning coming from space. They realize it is the same lightning strike that hit them and caused the curse. They get back in the car and leave, but notice a strange car following them. Eventually, they arrive at the house in the north. Liam decides to go alone to the lake, hoping to remember something about his past. Jane stays inside the house and finds a burned notebook in the fireplace. She cleans off the ashes and looks inside, and is shocked to find that the notebook contains pictures of missing people, including her twin sister. At that same moment, Liam, standing by the lake, and Jane, inside the house, Both begin to remember what really happened the night of the accident. It turns out Liam was a serial killer, and he was the one who murdered Jane's sister and threw her body into the lake. He had been in the car with Jane and tried to inject her with a sedative, but she fought back. Liam lost control of the steering wheel. The car flipped, and the accident happened. They both got out of the car, and Liam decided to kill Jane too. But at that exact moment, the lightning struck them both, erased their memories, and created the curse. Suddenly, in the present, Jane appears behind Liam by the lake after remembering everything. She's holding a rifle from Liam's house and points it at him because he killed her sister. She forces him to kneel and is about to shoot him, but she can't bring herself to do it because she has fallen in love with him and become emotionally attached. She asks him where her sister's body is, and Liam, filled with guilt, tells her, "In the lake, right in front of us." Jane screams and forces Liam to walk into the water so she can shoot him from there, but she still can't pull the trigger and breaks down crying. Liam appears full of regret and deep sorrow over what he did, unable to understand how he had once been a serial killer. Jane takes Liam back to the farm, but they find themselves surrounded by people seeking revenge for their loved ones who died because of the curse. Liam runs away from them to keep them safe, but this causes them to enter his deadly radius and they begin to die. Jane screams at him to stop and stay where he is so no one else gets killed. But Liam doesn't listen. He steps back a few meters, pushing Jane outside his radius, and two of the people die instantly. Jane takes the opportunity to run away. The last man among them fires a gun at Jane. She is far away, but Liam is close to the shooter, so the man dies immediately. Liam runs to Jane and finds her collapsing. She has been shot and is dying. He carries her and rushes her to the hospital. The medics place Jane on a hospital bed and step away from Liam to avoid death, while he watches them in grief. Liam realizes that he will never be able to live with Jane again after everything that has happened. He makes the decision to end his own life. He takes a gun, points it at his head, and shoots himself, dying instantly and freeing everyone in the hospital from the curse, because Jane is now outside his radius. Jane hears the gunshot while lying on the hospital bed and understands what Liam has done, that he sacrificed himself to save everyone. She begins to cry, heartbroken, knowing that his death was the only way to end the curse forever.